I'd like to congratulate Stuart and Joan on the establishment of this professorship, and to thank all of their children for making this wonderful and lasting recognition of all of Stuart's and Joan's contributions to the University of Connecticut over the years, both in mathematics and Joan's work in Judaic studies and her writing and poetry. A professorship like this lasts forever and ensures that the values which they represent will live on in the Department of Mathematics into the future. Personally, this is a particularly satisfying event for me because although Mona and I have only been here for less than a year, we've had the opportunity to get to know Stuart and Joan through the Beth El Synagogue, and it's immediately clear to anybody who encounters them what a force they are in the community and how central they are to making this really a wonderful place to live. So on a personal note, I'd like to thank both of you for everything that you've done to make this a good year for Mona and I. I get to speak to alumni from time to time. Just last week I was at the reception at Aetna, where there, for some reason, are a lot of math majors. And, I kept having the same conversation with them. I would say, you were a math major, yes. Do you remember anybody from your years at UConn? Do you remember any professors? And they would go, oh, there was this one guy that I remember. And time after time, it was Stu Sidney that they remembered. And I think that sort of random sample of mathematics alumni just gives you, and these were people who had been there over the entire period of his career. I heard his name over and over again, and I think it's just a clear sign of the lasting impact which he has had on the students who have passed through this university. As we look into the future, as Vicki said, the Sidney Professorship offers the Mathematics Department the opportunity to bring a first-class research mathematician here, and also to bring someone who will represent the characteristic love of teaching and care for his fellow man that Stuart and Joan have represented during their time here. It's extremely important to the college and to the department and to the university that the first person that we select to hold this position represent the highest standards possible to set the tone for the future of that position. And I had a conversation just last week, in fact just a few days ago, with Joan about this issue in particular, and we were discussing what might be a good strategy to establish a professorship in the most effective way. And we talked about an idea, and we agreed that we had a very good idea, and I said, well, Joan, don't you need to discuss this with your children? And she said, no, I'm the mother. So, thanks to that conversation, I have a surprise of my own to announce. It is my great honor to announce that it is my intention to recommend to the Board of Trustees of the University of Connecticut that the first holder of the Stuart and Joan Sidney Professorship in Mathematics to be appointed for a 2-year interim term pending the recruitment of the permanent holder of the position shall be Board of Trustees Distinguished Professor and Head of the Department of Mathematics, Professor Michael Newman.
Stand up again. Well, it's a big surprise, and I hope I can fulfill a tenth of what it takes to be that person. And I thank you very much, and I love you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, finally, Masha and I certainly want to add our congratulations, and unfortunately there's some time left, and that means we have to turn the microphone over to Stu.
Well, I'm a little overwhelmed. Some things happened today that I wasn't expecting. And I have to thank all of you. I have to my family who've been, how they keep things a secret from me, I don't know. I know that Joni has pulled this off before, that I'm always the last to find out. But this is absolutely overwhelming. I guess I should be speechless, and I am speechless. Fortunately, I wrote some things out. Otherwise, I'd be standing here. Anyway, so thanks so much to all of you for coming to help me celebrate this big moment in Joni's and my life. It's wonderful to see so many old friends, some Ruth and Joel and Ed going back to student days, and some Mike and Mika Keene, Jim Schmerl, to a few years later, and many from our decades in stores. And it's great to have so many members of my wonderful family who have already met all of them. I really haven't met Ralph, Joni's brother Ralph, sitting next to Joni. So we have 6.875 of my family members here. I imagine you've noticed the 0.875, and you already know Dan and Naomi and our only grandchildren for the next month or so are away in Brussels, so they weren't able to be here today, but apparently they got their licks in. I also want to especially thank two people who came from a long way to be here. First of all, Ray, who flew in from the West Coast. And second, Jadong Patrick Pan, who, much to my surprise, I was not expecting to see him at all, came in from Michigan. So it's been really, really wonderful. I want to thank Chuck for, first of all, being, as always, the MC par excellence. And Chuck and Masha for organizing this wonderful fair, Mickey for encouraging them to do it. And I was glad to see, you seem to have been surprised at the end there, Mickey, were you? I'm glad to see I'm not the only one who was surprised today. But they couldn't have done it without the collusion of my best friend, the love of my life, Jody, who most of you know, and is probably the only force in the universe capable of saving me from the life of a total stick in the mud for which nature seemed to equip me. Joni knows how to be sneaky, but always in my best interest. And she wanted you to see me at my very best, hence a certain photo. I've been working to get back to that terrific appearance, and I think I'm making progress. For instance, within a few years, I'll probably have just about as much hair as I had then. It's not quite right that I didn't want a gift. The real point is that I already received my gift. For 37 years, this university and department gave me the gift that keeps on giving. The rare privilege of working with wonderful people and wonderful minds, with occasional overlap between the two groups. I've jotted down a few words of appreciation of the department, just about the most collegial large department I know of. Oh, there it is. Whoops. Wrong scroll. Wrong scroll. Sorry about that. Here we are. I'll need your help with this. You're going to sort of be my Greek chorus. Okay? There are 11 verses, each 4 lines long. I want you to repeat 3 times the last line of every other verse and the last verse as well. It's 500 verses. So the last line of the verses 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 11. So I will go, let's see if I remember this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then you will go, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-